Welcome to the Institute of Jewish Knowledge and Learning. We are with Rabbi Akiva Mann, live from Yerushalayim, and we are going to discover Sufi mystic overlap and near similarities with Jewish mysticism through a Kabbalistic lens. Take it away, Rebbe.
Okay, that was a mouthful, Kim.
And almost close to the program.
Sufism through mystical lens. Okay. So friends, welcome everybody. Welcome. I think I want to start the lecture series with a similar question that I asked when we started our Chabad, and you don't know Chabad until you have opened up a Tanya. I think I'd like to start with a little input from you guys, and ask you what exposure have you had with Sufism, if any, and why do you think I chose to do a comparative kind of study between Sufi mysticism and Jewish mysticism? What was going through my head? because there are, there are many, there's a plethora of topics which I could have chosen, and yeah, I don't know, dig a little bit. What was Akiva thinking? Like, why? Okay, so make your comments like nice and succinct, to the point, and we will, as we listen, we will gather them, and we will go forward, from that vantage point.
Okay, we are also welcome. You're also welcome to put your comments in the chat, but we have Reb Chaya, Shabri, Debbie, and Joyce with hands up.
Oh, great. Let's have a little chavruta.
Yeah, I don't think so.
So do you want me to start, Kim?
Hit it.
So I studied with the Sufis. So there are a number of similarities between Sufism and Judaism. And I'll just make it succinct that after studying with the Sufis, I then studied the Baal Shem Tov and said, oh my God, this is the same thing. There's some similarities. And a friend of mine who's an archaeologist just told me that the same DNA group that are part of the Arabs are the same as the Kohen. And there are just so many similarities to who the Sufis are and who the Israelites were, and even and they studied together in Sfat, so that they appropriated so much.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Chaya. That was good. That was a nice intro.
Shabri is up, then Debbie and Joyce. As Shabri unmutes, so I see you looking.
Unmuted. Good morning, everyone. So Rabbi, I always love the Sufis because I love God, and Sufism, that's what it's all about, loving God. They're known by their poetry, which is very famous through Rumi and also Hafiz. And as far as you picking out Sufism to coordinate with the Institute of Jewish Learning and Knowledge, you did start last time, you were talking about seeing without eyes. And that's what Sufism is all about also, all about the aspect of God within us. So thank you very much. I'm going to have fun.
Okay, great. Thanks, Shabri. Thank you.
Debbie and Joyce, and then you'll enlighten us.
Hi, Reb. So
Hi,
in my
Debbie.
studies, I studied with the Jesuits, then I found the Kabbalists, and now I'm ready for the Sufis. In other
Great,
words,
Debbie.
the people who don't see boxes and think and ponder.
Great, 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 great. Thank you.
And Joyce, as you unmute.
Yeah, the microphone doesn't work on this.
You're good.
You're good.
Hi, Rabbi. Hi, everybody. My wild guess is that I have much less knowledge than Shabri, and certainly you and Chaya and many others. But I am guessing that you chose to do this now because of our upcoming trip, and that we need to find, Jews need to find some ways to have positive interactions with the Muslim community.
Nice, nice. Thank you, Joyce. Okay, Kim, was anyone else?
Good to
waiting?
go, Reb. You're good to go,
Okay.
Reb.
Okay, great. Friends, thank you. Thank you for that input. You were all correct. You were all correct in your focus on Sufism, and I found, as I wrote in the Monday or Sunday's e-blast, I found as I was studying and dabbling in the Sufi tradition, I not only found theological and mystical connectedness, but there was, as Chaya mentioned, there was this feeling of a familial connection. The words and the concepts and the visions that the Sufi masters were addressing and were targeting were exactly right on in quality and in depth to what I know the Jewish mystics throughout the ages were pointing to. There was this connectedness, this fellowship of thought that was just incredible, was amazing to me. So that's what ignited some of my interest. I said, I have to find out a little bit more and a little bit more broadly about what was the source behind their vision of the world and their conception of divinity. And as I was studying more and more, I found that yes, every tradition, friends, let's face it, every tradition and every religion that is more than 1,000 years old is going to have gone through their evolutionary processes. And You know what happens through evolutionary processes in life, in human life, and in the life of a religion, the life of a tradition? Do you know what happens? We tend to we tend to start carrying and amassing a lot of baggage. Human beings and religions. After a significant amount of time, there is no difference in the life of a religion than some of us find ourselves in when we take a look around and we say to ourselves, you know what? I need to reorganize my home. I need to get rid of a lot of crap. Because I am feeling mentally or emotionally or spiritually congested. There's too much crap around, and I gotta divest myself of some of the trappings that over the years I have accumulated, and I gotta become pure again. I gotta divest. Have you felt that? Nod your heads, because I know that you have. You know, yeah, Marcia, you have never. Right? There comes a certain point where the clutter just gets overbearing, and that happens, friends, in the life and evolutionary process of a religion. And I think that when you take a look at Jewish mysticism, and really, I have to say, all forms of mysticism, Sufism, Christian mysticism, the point of mystical inquiry means, on one level, there are many levels, but on one level means I am going to cut through the bullshit that my religion accumulated over the years and is really of secondary importance, that became of primary importance, and the mystical lens that the mystics offered was to cut through the secondary in order to reach the core, in order to reach back to the essential. Then there's, of course, the problem of mysticism itself accumulating a whole bunch of its own crap, its own secondary things, and then the secondary things of mysticism becomes primary, and then it takes a super mystic to cut through that. Right. The story goes on that the purest sense, the purest attempt at cutting through to the essence can also, over time, also become a shallow endeavor. So when Jewish mysticism and all other forms of mysticism, when clothing, when the clothing of the mystic becomes all important, when the secondary rituals become primary rituals, when third-rate traditions, fourth-rate traditions become elevated to number one, and essential teachings get lowered to number four, that's already, like, in other words, anything and everything can become distorted, even mysticism. Even mysticism. So one of my purposes in presenting Sufism to the Institute of Jewish Knowledge and Learning's students who have been exposed to Jewish mysticism is twofold. Number one, I very much wanted us to be informed that Jewish mysticism, I do not want Jewish mysticism to be the one and only truth. I do not want, as a student of Jewish mysticism, I do not want Jewish mysticism to have a monopoly on mysticism. I do not want that. I do not feel that is an accomplishment. I don't think that is a prize that we should be wearing. I don't think that kind of one-upmanship is healthy. My Jewish mysticism is the truth, and there is no other mysticism. There is no other deep thinking that is valid outside of my system. I do not want that. I would rather see my Jewish, very Jewish mysticism be aligning and being in harmony with somebody else. At least then I know I have company. I'm not alone. I'm not alone in my vision of the world. I want to know that there are others that think like me and whose vision of the world is aligned with mine. I want that. I need that. I think we need that. Judaism does not have to be, you know, and really actually never was the exclusive possession of the Jewish people. In fact, I would say that outside, we will find out some more details of this, that outside of the Sufi tradition, Judaism is the only religion and tradition that says to other religions, Gesundheit. Gesundheit, have your religion. The only caveat in Judaism and the only caveat in Sufism, which is quite wonderful, in both traditions, in Judaism and Sufism, there is just this caveat of and I'm going to say it in my terminology, and you can switch it into your terminology. But the only caveat in both traditions is I wouldn't even say the word belief. That's that's a hard word to translate, even in English, what that means, what belief means. But in both Jewish and Sufi traditions, there is this caveat that there must be an acknowledgement and a recognition of source, of a source. We're going to get into it a little bit more deeply, but of source. Another word for source is God. Another word for God is divinity. Another word for divinity is transcendent light. Right? But there is this caveat that there is human potential, and then there is source, which we are going to really nicely get into, because it is one of the main origins of monotheistic Judaism and monotheistic Sufism. So, friends, on one level, I want to know, I hope I speak on your behalf too. We want to know, not that our tradition is exclusively correct, but that there is a recognition that many different manifestations of many different traditions and religions can be valid, even with differences, even with small differences in theology and small differences in and even huge differences in ritual. But that we share this commonality, the intersection at the bottom line, our traditions, I can say, are one, and that's what I believe is needed in this in a world that is so divided by religion. That the more we start discovering the commonalities and the intersection where our traditions at the bottom line intersect, the more harmony we're going to bring to this world. Okay, that was number one. Number two, I want to point out that yes, I think it was Joyce that said, yes, for those of you coming to Israel, for those of you listening long distance from America, what the conditions in Israel are, and then when you come, you're going to see, I hope you're going to see some wonderful things that you know that are going to that are going to prove to you that conditions between Arab and Jew are actually they're always teetering, but are actually in many pockets, in many specific pockets, are mamish improving. For example, there is a very large group of a Jewish chevra here in Jerusalem that meet twice, 3 times a month between very committed and knowledgeable Jews and very committed and knowledgeable Sufis. They have like a kind of get together 2 or 3 times a month. We're talking about 50, 60 people getting together and promoting and learning about the intersectionality of both traditions, and start creating a beautiful fellowship. Okay, it's only 50, 60 people. But when they have larger events, it's already 200, 300 people getting together. That's a beginning. That's a beginning. So there's many reasons why we ought to be talking about the intersectionality of traditions. And the Sufi tradition, it is easy. Christianity, not so. The intersectionality of Jews and Judaism and Christianity has come a long way, baby, since since Vatican II. But it's a harder case. Christianity is a harder case. Straight down Islam is a harder case. Sufism, much easier. Because Sufism in reality is not a religion. That's what makes it a little easier. Sufism is not a religion. It's something so unique, and I think it's so refreshingly and beautifully unique. And at one point, I want at the end of the series to maybe adapt what I'm about to say to Judaism itself. Maybe. Sufism is not a religion. Sufism, by self-definition, is a process. It's not a religion. What is it a process of? It's a process of awakening and developing latent human powers under divine grace and guidance. Let me tell you that again. And whatever I say about Sufism from now on, gauge it against your idea of Judaism. Okay? Sufism is the process of awakening and developing latent human powers under divine grace and guidance. A Sufi, chevra, is best defined as an essentialist. What do I mean by essentialist? Essentialist is someone, I'm going to ask you for a synonym of essentialist very soon. But an essentialist is someone who meets all things in life on the basis of their essential meaning. Ask yourself whether you're an essentialist right now in your head. Are you somebody who meets all things in life on the basis of their actual essential meaning? Or are you a striving essentialist? Oh, Kim Rose raised her hand, right? I mean, on one level or another, hey, I would say yay to that too. On one level or another, level or another, we do not want to see things in life on a superficial level, on a shallow level. On one level or another, we are all striving essentialists. Sometimes we get there, and sometimes we don't. Sometimes we put obstacles in front of that process, and sometimes we guide ourselves towards that. Another way of saying an essentialist, someone who meets all things in life on the basis of their essential meaning. Another way of saying that is a mystic. Because a mystic is actually someone who refuses to view or to perceive life on its outer shallow level, and only willing and has trained herself or himself, trained themselves in a way of perceiving things in life and going straight to the essence. And not being caught up and trapped in the peripheral stuff. This was the yearning of the Sufi, to live through life on an essentialist level. The Sufi way was also called so beautifully the way of purity. The way of purity or essentialism. in the history of Sufism. And Chaver, if you want to know the actual history, you know, the biography and the demographics of Sufism, you can easily look that up. Google it. I'm not going to spend time in the class for that. I'm going to spend. We're going to dedicate our time to understanding the depth, the essentialism of what Sufism had to offer us. The question of how is this is so interesting, Chavra. How is Sufism? Someone has to ask me, like, when did Sufism when it began? We're gonna so this I'm gonna answer part of that through the next little section. When you know, Christianity began Jesus, Islam began with Muhammad, Judaism, Abraham. So we all know that Sufism has strong connections to Islam, but the Islamic Sufi brotherhood has been transmitting its tradition and its wisdom for the last 1,000 years. Since around a little bit more, since around the year 800 CE. That's when you have to be exact, friends, when you're listening to this. That's when Islamic Sufism became a thing. But Sufism itself started, and this is the most amazing thing, started well before Islam. The Sufi tradition does not begin with Islam. The Sufi tradition was incorporated into Islam, but it didn't begin with Islam. Do you know when it started? When it was claimed to have started? The first historical application of the process to human society, the Sufis say, was initiated by no other than Abraham. Abraham was the first Sufi guru, was the first Sufi prophet that affected this process that was going to be the pure process that is going to bring societies and humanity a notch higher on the way to enlightenment. So the Sufis' first Rebbe was Abraham. And the Sufis continued and said there were other unveilers. I like that. They use the word unveilers for their mystics, for their prophets, for their gurus. They use the word unveilers. These were individuals, male or female, that in their generation unveiled the pure truth. And according to Sufi tradition, there were other unveilers. There was Moses. There was David. There was Jesus, and there was Muhammad. And after Muhammad, there were a multiplicity of unveilers. Yet historically to be recognized on the same level as David and Moses and Jesus. Rumi being one of them. Rumi compared to them, and we will talk about Rumi, excuse me, in some later classes. But Rumi being one of those that are categorized as unveilers. And Chavra, in Sufi tradition, these characters, these personalities are called unveilers of the secrets. Unveilers of the secrets. Do you know how Nachmanides, how the Ramban, how he describes he himself being a Kabbalist, but how he describes the process of Kabbalah, those masters that throughout generations are the ones that are the links in the chain of Jewish mystical thinking, that there's an unbroken chain, not only from Abraham, but from, like, supposedly, whatever this means, but from Adam. But from Adam, this unbroken chain of the purity of thought that goes back to source. And that in each generation, there are these masters that are able to transmit and to speak to the generation at hand the ultimate pure truth wisdoms, and that this is an evolutionary process. Even Nachmanides in his commentary on the Torah, whenever he quotes the mystical commentary, he says, he uses the expression, he uses the expression for mystical masters. He says those that uncover secrets, those that unveil secrets. That's a nickname. That's a nickname for mystics. Those that go to the essence of what is being discussed, what is being written, what is being taught. Those that go to the deepest levels of the essence of a thought, of a thing, of a phenomenon, are called those who unveil secrets. Okay, friends, just any comments or questions before we go on?
Shabri does have her hand up,
Yes,
waiting patiently.
yes, thank you. Okay. So I was thinking when you were talking about essentialism, what is essentialism? I was saying to myself, how could we live from our essentialism unless we really answer the essential question, who am I and what am I? And so until that secret is revealed, how can we be essential in our lives and in our understandings, Rabbi?
We really can't, Shabri, but we can do it slowly and gradually. We can, you know, in other words, Sufism and mysticism. Sufism is the, Sufism really is for the last 1,000 years, although it goes back 4,000 years. But Sufism in the last 1,000 years really is the mystical arm of Islam. Okay, so the answer is, you're asking me a question. It's a good question, and it will bring a point out. Can one get to the essence of the essence of essentialism perfectly and 100% in quality and in quantity? The answer is probably not. But can we grow towards viewing and perceiving our world on an essential level instead of on a peripheral level? The answer is yes. We go step by step. Every minute of our day, every day of our month, every month of our year, we are either on one level or another, we are either making strides towards essentialism, purity of what is in front of me, or impurity of what is in front of me, and I'm complicating life. I'm complicating the thing that is in front of me. I'm over-reading, I'm over-complicating the person that is in front of me. Let me look at the essence. Let me connect to the essence of the word I'm reading, the person that I'm in front of, and let me mamish go straight for target and use a type of perception that automatically filters out all this shit, and mamish goes straight for the heart, for the jugular, for the essence of what is in front of me.
Miss Molly, you're up.
Morning, Rabbi. Good morning, everyone.
Hi, Molly.
Hi. You know, Rabbi, I think that every time I come to your class, I know why I come to your class, because it fills my heart and soul, because it makes me understand more of what I feel inside myself, because I believe that most people don't understand that we're more alike than we are different.
Yeah.
But most people are ignorant. Ignorant is a bad word, but it's ignorant. We choose not to want to become knowledgeable about Yenim, as they say. It's all about us. And so we take that one step further, because we don't understand. It becomes like a competition, like we're going to the Olympics. Hello, my religion is better than your religion and your religion and your religion, and I need to win. And in order to win, I'm going to tell you that my religion is the best.
Yes.
So the first
Yes.
time I traveled to Israel, and I went amongst the Arab population, and we met and we had dinner. We were so similar. We talked to each other. We cared about each other, and it was lovely. But how do you take you and those 60 Sufis and bring them into a world that only wants to win, is what I have difficulty with. You can say, I'm one person and I go out and teach somebody. But if everybody understood, like when my children were young and I had a nanny, a young girl who came and wanted to learn English from Quebec, and she thought I had horns. She'd been taught a Jew has horns, and you do this and this and this. And when she came to my house, it was like, oh, you're like normal. You do the same thing we do, except you go to synagogue on Saturday and we go to church on Sunday. But she was in a rural town. So you're talking about all of America, all of the United States, all of every place. How do we teach? How do we go out? Do we take it to the classroom, to children, and just on a very lower level say to them, don't teach geography, don't teach history. Teach what we need to know today. I'm sorry, but teach what we need to know today. Teach me about what Islam represents. Teach me about what Sufi represents. Not in college. Give me fundamentals at a very young age, and maybe there will be hope. That's all. I hope.
See, Molly, I love what you said, and it's probably Kedai to spend a little time on a response, because what you're pointing to is a truth that I think that we all are feeling, in our deep places, that the competitiveness, even within religion, forget the competitiveness of that lowlife politician Putin, who only has one thing in mind, and that's power. So we're not even talking about power hungry people, right? We're now moving to religious, spiritual people are still trapped in this one-upmanship. And I'm sorry to say, I have to agree with you that until Christianity gets rid of that all-encompassing idea that if it's not through the Son, you cannot get to the Father, until they get rid of that, Christianity will remain an absolutely one-upmanship religion that will create controversy and will create division for all its billions of constituents. Until Islam gets rid, Islam is not 100% like that. Until Islam gets rid of its pronouncement that the last of the great prophets, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Moses, whom they recognize. But Muhammad trumps all of the above until they get rid of that, an insistence on that the last one who spoke the truth was Muhammad in the 7th century. It will sustain division and hate. And I have to say, without one-upmanship, but I'm telling you straight theology, that Judaism, yes, lokam navi od kemoshe, there has risen no other prophet like Moses that we proclaim. But you know what? You know what Judaism proclaims? And that's why I made that Sufi connection. You know, Judaism proclaims, but Gesundheit, we are allowed to say our prophet is a great prophet, but we also say that you do not, you to the rest of the world, you do not, in our eyes, have to in any way not adhere to your path, to your Torah, because your Torah to us is a valid way of connecting to God. We in no way ever wanted. We never had mandatory conversion. There was never a will in Jewish history ever to say your religion is no good, mine is the best. You know what we insisted on? Sheva mitzvot b'nei Noach. Just act in a humane manner amongst yourselves. And again, like Sufism, and add a transcendental element to your lives. In other words, proclaim that there is something higher than you, higher than humanity. There is something. We will get to some of the beautiful ways Sufism referred to that higher energy, that higher transcendence. Just be humane, as humane as you possibly can perceive, and connect to your ability of self-transcendence, and you will see the world in a purer way. So, Molly, I have to say that the chances of world recognition of some of these deep ideals and a dissolvement of some of those trappings, it's a hard thing for us to live and look at the world and say universal intersectionality is coming soon.
Thanks
However,
for the words.
However, in the words of Pirkei Avot, but we are not allowed to desist from trying to move ahead with it. As statistics are against us, quantitatively, the Islamic radical world is much larger than the informed, enlightened Jewish world, or the informed, enlightened Sufi, or even American world. So the numbers are against us. The time, you know, the picture ain't so pretty. But do we have a right to desist as historical links? The answer is no. We have to push ahead. We have to push ahead.
Okay. Rabbi Akiva, you have 28 minutes now. Marcia and Donna have hands up. If there are actual questions, we'll take it, but otherwise we're going to hold comments to the next round of learning. If there's an actual question that you need to have an answer for, otherwise you won't be able to concentrate.
Okay. Go for it.
Okay, should we go? Actual question.
I can't get my picture up. I don't know what I did to my computer.
Marcia has her video and audio, so ask away.
Mine will be
Okay.
short and sweet when you're ready.
Let's think. My question is, if we are not free to desist and we engage with people that believe differently, and some of these people are who you have described as holding beliefs that theirs is the one way. How do we engage without telling them that it is our opinion that they are wrong? We may not think ours is the one way. How do we have that dialogue? As Molly asked, we teach children, and your very hopeless prediction that we're never going to get there.
Yeah,
What do we do
to,
while we're not desisting?
I have to apologize for that. Molly just extracted it out of me, which by the way is there. I wouldn't be a sane person if I didn't realize that kind of the odds are against enlightenment these days. But she dragged it out of me, and it's but it's true. It's sadly true. That's what I am going to be mourning for on Tisha B'Av. On Tisha B'Av, that's what I'm going to be mourning. I'm not going to be mourning the destruction necessarily of the first and second temples. I'm going to be mourning the fact that we're not anywhere close yet. We're not anywhere close yet, and we have a long distance to go. But we will not. But we will not give up. We will not give up. We're not going to finish. We're not going to finish this process. We're not going to come to a happy ending, according to some people. A happy ending one day. We're going to wake up and the Messiah is going to be here and everything is going to be kishkala gedillas. It's not happening like that. So we have a long way to go, but we want to be the links. We want to.
We have Donna with one more question.
Thank you, Rabbi. My question is, our religion focuses on the here and now and living life, isn't it true that the other religions such as Christianity, Islam, Mormon, they have a hook of the afterlife where we do not? Is that correct?
Donna, that is correct, and that's what on one level, that's what divorces some of their religious perceptions, their religious sensitivity. Those perceptions divorce them from reality on the ground, because they have this fantasy world that anything on the ground doesn't really matter, because what matters is not what's on the ground, it's what's in heaven. So that's a great, also a great, it adds great fuel to some of the extreme things that are happening, because they are not that tethered to reality on the ground. But given that, I have to say that in certain circles, and again, Islam has we cannot forget this. Islam has a multiplicity, an unbelievable multiplicity of, you can hardly say, unless we're talking about straight on terrorism, you can hardly use the word Arab or Islam in an umbrella sentence, because there's such a multiplicity of theologies and philosophies, just as that is true in Christianity. You cannot say the Christian doctrine is this, because there are too many, and I have to say, within Judaism, you cannot say the Jewish perception is this. Right? We know that, because you can't make such a statement.
So Rabbi Akiva, are you bringing us back to Sufism?
Hold on. I have to think whether I answered Donna properly.
You did, Rabbi. Thank you.
You know, so we have to. So even in Jewish theology, Jews at certain points, you premised your question that Jews believe in the here and now, and I say, for the most part, yes. All of us, for all the time, I say no. There is a point where Jewish thinking and Jewish perception was very much tethered to Olam Haba, what happens in the next world. There are even statements in beautiful Pirkei Avot that has to do with a denigration of this existence, as opposed to the elevation of the other, of the world to come. So we got a little pulled in, but I would say for the most part we are down to earth religion. So there is a doctrine of Sufism, and I find it very interesting in terms of how they pointed to their main doctrine, and how it's very, very similar, whether we realize it or not, to the Jewish way. Someone has to ask me, what is the equivalent of the Torah in Sufism? You have the Quran in Islam. You have the New Testament in Christianity, and you have the Torah in Judaism. Does Sufism have a kind of Torah? And the answer is yes. And the name in Arabic, and friends, I'm the last one to be able to pronounce Arabic. I'm the last one to be able to speak Arabic. But their main doctrine that has been passed down, which is a historical traditional transmission to the equivalent of how we use the word Kabbalah. Kabbalah means a receiving of a tradition coming from way, way back, a tradition of wisdom, not necessarily through Torah, but mystical tradition was an invisible tradition from master to master, from student to master. Their traditional transmission is called Amsta Kebzeh. Kebzeh. Kebzeh sounds. Listen to Arabic and Hebrew are very often similar. Keb, Kabbalah, Kebzeh, Kabbalah, Kebzeh means a tradition, a path, a teaching that is transmitted from generation to generation. And Amsta means revered or refined or distinguished. So their Kabbalah, their mysticism, their traditional oral tradition that goes from generation to generation is called the esoteric tradition, the noble path. You know what Torah means?
The way,
Who said that?
Joyce.
Beautiful, Joyce. You're Joyce. You're a real listener. Teacher gives you an apple today. Torah means the way. Kebsa from Kabbalah, the tradition, the way, the path, the teaching. And this Kebsa, this tradition, this Kabbalah from master to student and forward, it in Sufi tradition was exactly like it was in Jewish tradition. It was done in small circles. Consider the Institute of Jewish Knowledge a kebsa. It's a small circle meeting of the minds, meeting of enlightenment, meeting of trying to seek the truth. These are small little Kabbalistic kebsa groups, and then which produced some masters that were able to spread the conclusions or these truths to the masses to the best of our ability. That created the educational programs in Jewish living, in Sufi living, in actually all traditions, right? And the amazing thing about these circles in the Sufi tradition is that they were not opposed, even in the earliest days. In the earliest days, I'm talking pre-Muhammad, but even after Muhammad, they were not opposed. And this is what differentiates Sufism from pure Islam, and that this is why Sufism, in the lens, in the eyes of most like Orthodox Islamists, is an aberration. Sufis they suffered a lot at the hands of pure Islamists. Why? One of the reasons was Sufis included in their circle of enlightenment other religions and other traditions. They did not mind having opposing, dissenting opinions in their circle, because they were yearning for the truth. So it was because of that openness in the Sufi tradition, when King David was around, you know what they did? They recognized King David as a Sufi prophet. The Sufi tradition is ancient. When they heard about Moses's prophetic book called the Torah, they considered him as a prophet master. When Jesus came around, you know what they did? They incorporated Jesus as a prophet, mystic master to be learnt from. When Muhammad came along, the Sufi connection to Islam is only after Muhammad, and that was the latest. We're talking about the 7th century. That was the latest prophet that Sufis universally said, hey, there's something in that teaching that is worthwhile. But they are considered heretics by Islam, by many Islamists, because they're too open, and they are too inclusive, and they are only looking at the essence of each religion's vision, and they are excluding the details. So Islam hates Sufis because they don't include Islamic details. Jews in the past didn't appreciate Sufism because they're well, actually not, because we don't expect anyone to include our details of tefillin and kosher in their thing. But maybe that's why Judaism and Sufism today is actually melding nicely.
Rabbi,
Yeah.
it's Joyce. I'm sorry to interrupt. This is burning. So if I am living after Moses and before Jesus, and there's a Sufi person, what will I see? How will that be recognizable? What will they be doing to identify themselves as this type of mystic?
Very beautiful question, Joyce. They will have in their circles of wisdom, in their Beit Medrash, in their schools of thinking, they will have discussed and incorporated. They say they will look at, whoa, we have a document here that includes ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. You shall love your fellow human being as you love yourself. We have kedoshim tihu ki kadosh ani. Be holy because I, your God, is holy. They will have seen and studied Moses's wisdom and say, hey, cool. Moses is now in our schools of thought being graduated to a place of guru, to a place of universal teacher. And that happened with David, when the Psalms finally came to them. You know, they were spread out geographically, like unbelievable. They started off, the Sufis started off where Abraham started off in Mesopotamia. And they were very much aware of the wisdom teachers throughout generations, and they have incorporated the wisdom teachers like David, Moses, Jesus, Muhammad. Unfortunately, they haven't yet incorporated Heschel yet.
Rabbi Akiva, you have 5 minutes and 2 hands up.
Yeah.
Joan, quickly. And then Kathleen.
How do women fit in as practicing Sufism?
Joan, I haven't gotten there yet. I don't know the direct answer to that yet. like where the place of the women are, but when we start talking about the dancing dervishes, we might get a little indication, but it's a good question. I will ask that. That's a contemporary question, where it was then and where it is now.
Thank you. Kathleen.
Yes, my question, or I guess more of a comment, I just have always understood that Islam as a whole, and even the Quran, recognizes Abraham and Moses and Jesus and all these same people that you say that Sufi recognizes. So I don't think it's unique to Sufism.
No, it's not unique to Sufism. But Kathleen, but so there is a recognition but there is this sense, even within traditional Islamic theology, there is just as it was in Christianity to an extent, that there is this difference, that although there is a recognition within Islam of previous prophets, what occurred over an evolutionary historical theological period was that although we recognize them, Muhammad trumps. And the same occurred in Christianity. Although Christianity, certain traditions within Christianity recognizes Abraham and Moses, yet despite their recognition, has evolved into, we don't really care about them and we really don't talk about them anymore. Jesus trumps all of you. So there is that sense, where in Sufism, that is not true. Get that fine difference?
Yes, I do. Although I think Sufism does tend to really identify as Islamic. I mean, the Sufis I've known, except for the branches that kind of form over here, but a lot, when you read Sufism, they often complain that pop culture has kind of totally misunderstood it because it doesn't recognize how Islamic it is. So I'm confused. Maybe we'll learn that during the course.
No. You, Kathleen, you are correct. There is a like Sufism as a whole has to be saying to itself, just like other traditions, maybe even Judaism. I am so misunderstood. Sufism has to be saying that because the branch, depending on the branch that is the most popular in America, that's what the world basically thinks about Sufism. But there are so many branches that Sufism that is mostly Islamic is not the only Sufism that is out there. A Sufism that is much more universal, right, and that is not stuck in Islamic theology, but rather spreading it all over for all, including Christianity, Judaism, for all prophets. That part of Sufism is not as popular and is misunderstood and is not recognized as much as the Islamic version of Sufism.
Okay, Rabbi, it is exactly 1:30.
Okay.
So-
Okay, I hope we got a little Sufi taste.
Taste. And we'll continue next
And
week.
we will go deeper into the actual teachings. So so we can learn more and correlate more and find more friends that are like-minded.
We will be sending out the recordings to the class, so that way we can all, they're always available on the website for class pass holders, but we'll make it a little bit easier. I'm looking for the stop recording. Okay.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Okay,